Let me try to put this in a better perspective. We've heard of fatal attraction. That's a person who tries to literally possess another person to the point where they're no longer the individual, but becomes or hoping to become part of that person who's trying to possess. You can attract too much to the point where the person is no longer the individual. Now you can also reject a person to the point where they're an island in amongst themselves. Now neither is a good position. So, when you say to love another person, you got to love with certain boundaries. You got to reject somebody, with certain boundaries. You can reject them so much that they can never return. That may not be good. You got to give a person the opportunity to teshuva, or to return, or to, meaning have an attitude adjustment. Now, you love somebody too much where they can do whatever they want, and they don't think for themselves. They don't become an individual. You want to be in the middle. And notice the word in middle, charisma. Now, charisma basically, it could be the word teferet, which means balance. It's the balance of the two. Meaning, you want to be able to attract people to you, but still preserve their individuality. You want to attract people to help change them. You want to reject people just enough to help change them. But to what? Well, that's the left-right, attraction-rejection. Take a look at the up-down picture here. God's will. You do God's will, you're in sync intellectually with God's will, and your heart is in control by God's will through your intellect. You're going to have that charisma. You're going to be able to change people. You're going to be able to help them to improve, to be transformed into what they should become. So this picture here is the beginning of our ideal purpose. Unique perspective, though. Each person has their own unique purpose. But all these tools are here. That wisdom is available to them. God's will is available to them. Understanding is available to them. Understanding comes, by the way, only through Torah eyes. So if you say Torah no longer is, or is not necessary anymore, then you just got rid of what will transform your mind or tune your mind to not only pick up wisdom, but be able to interpret it properly and communicate it to others properly. And that will in turn transform your emotions. Now, next slide. You will see here God's will again at top. But this time we're going down to the functional level. Okay, the functional level, physical level, like I was saying here. Again, you got to look at this from the left-right perspective and the right-left. So you got to look from that, and also the up-down. So there's two dimensions to this picture. There's many more dimensions than this, but I'm not going to go into those dimensions, and I'm not going to make this overcomplicated. I'm trying to simplify this and help, and so that people can use this as a tool to help them through life. And also to kind of show the importance of Torah, the first 5 books. Why the Torah needs to be central to our faith, and why Torah is so important for our transformation and our reformation. Okay, we see on the left the word competition. All right, we know what competition is. Anyone out there loves sports, we know what competition is. One team trying to beat the other. Very simple. The problem is, if you get too competitive, what happens? You can reject other people. You can become a lover of yourself or the team. The idea of competition is also a change. All right, let me swing back. We'll go back and forth there. Devotion. Devotion is where you're faithful. Faithful to something. Now, obviously we need to be faithful to our wives. Or our spouses, I should say. Now, our spouse is devoted to us. In other words, you aren't to commit adultery. That adultery is something that is very destructive to a relationship. So devotion is like a faithfulness. Now, the problem is, like I said, just a left-right type of a situation. It's like a pendulum swinging, is you can get too devoted to something. And I'm not too devoted, meaning, let's say you're in, you learn something in your life and you stick to it, and you refuse to challenge it or to look at its possible that your thought may need to change. Okay, think of it. We learn. Okay, think of it this way. When you learn something, you're hoping to change. So you got to challenge your mind. That's where the competition comes in. But at the same time, your mind needs to weigh out the options. In other words, you got to stay somewhat grounded in what you think is correct, or what you're learning, or what you have learned. But you have to be also resilient there. But you also have to be somewhat open to change as well. So you got this pendulum swinging back and forth. Now the middle part, I'm sorry for the big word, but essentially what it means is challenge. You should be willing to challenge whatever you learned in the past. You were taught a particular doctrine, or you were told that a particular verse means such and such. But you realize that it may not be right. So you want to challenge it. Now after you challenge it, you push it over to the competitivity area. You try to find new information to challenge it. And if you find that the information has proven that the original facts are still good, or original thought, you keep it. But if not, you tweak it, you change it. So the idea is that we should be in constant flux. We should always have agility in our learning, in our activities in life. In other words, what you may do today may change tomorrow. We have no guarantee tomorrow is going to be like today. So we got to be up for change, open to change. How many people do you know say, well, when I go to work, I take this road. I've been doing it for 30 years, and I'm not about to change it. And then there's those who will say, well, yesterday I did this. Today I'm going to do that. I did mountain climbing yesterday. Today I think I'm going to go roller skating. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to go swimming. And the next day I think I'm going to go on a trip to Puerto Rico. So is this good? Well, not necessarily, because it's very important that we do have consistency in our life. It's important for us to have a real focus in our life and the ability to stay steadfast on things. But we got to be open enough to tweak and change those things we're steadfast on when need be. That's the idea of this. Now we see this picture forming. We got the left, right, up, down. It all focuses onto God's will.